This is my first commentated video that I've made on anything, so don't judge, but this video right here is going to explain how Steve might make it into Smash. I'm sure there's already videos of it, but they're all animated and they're not made inside the game, which I thought this might be pretty interesting to try out for a challenge. Right now I have it all written on paper as a script, but might as well show you what I mean. Get the animations down, it'll be perfectness. First, you might have guessed your neutral attack would be the sword. But something I thought might be interesting is if you hold down the neutral attack, it will charge up your sword material. And when you charge up your sword material, that means you get better attacks. And for Steve, it'll be spamming swords. There'll be no real combos, like swapping in between them. But attack this, which means you'll be able to attack forever, which would leave you vulnerable in the back. But this one does more damage and allows you to sprint. Or sneak attack if you want. Same thing with the iron, but it'll be a little bit stronger and it could last for a little bit longer while jumping. And for the gold sword, it'll allow you to jump out of danger, since people with swords that are gold are usually cautious. So you can use this as an advantage, charge up to 3 sword, then hop backwards. That's like a hit and run. And for the diamond sword, you'd be restricted to only moving while sneaking, which means you could be stuck on the corner like this. They could hop over you and they could bash you in the back, causing you to SD. Which with Steve, keep it realistic to Minecraft and make it really easy for you to accidentally self-destruct. Which enemies could use that as their advantage, as like a way that's balancing his moveset. But this is gonna be where it gets interesting, because right here you have the axe, which will be a side tilt. You hold it down, well, you hold down this and you automatically hop forward for one attack and then charge. Alright, let's try that again. Hop forward first and then charge. Which then after he could just spam it. Which, just like the sword, each material does better. And the gold allows you to hop out of danger in case you need to play safe, for like if you're at 100% and ready to get flung off the stage. And for the diamond, of course, it's going to be the same things. Well, actually no, since you can't sneak while sprinting, so you'd only be able to move with the axe by jumping. And here's where things get really interesting for the mechanics of separating Steve from the other fighters, of course, which I saw some videos on how Steve should be implemented already, and I like those ideas, but I think this one might benefit on separating him from other fighters. Otherwise, we get another brawl situation where people make mods on characters based on other people's movesets mixed around. Which for Steve, that's a big no-no. So instead, you'll be able to hold down, and mine, of course. But you wouldn't actually be breaking any of the stage, no. Like if you manage to smack the ground enough, other than trying to disrupt players, you have a chance of accidentally getting ore. And on the ore quality depends on what kind of pick you have. And of course with wood, you would only get stone, which later on I'll show you how stone will be implemented into Smash. But for now, from stone to iron, if you have stone, you have a chance of getting either lots of stone or some iron ore. And for iron pickaxes, you will be able to mine down, which will give you a chance of either getting iron or gold. and with the golden pick, you'd be able to hop out of the way, but you'd still mine down. And with that, will give you either a chance of gold ore or diamond. And with the diamond pickaxe, it'll give you only diamond, but since diamond would be the rarest, like a 1 or 2 chance, that would make it really hard. And pretty balanced for what I want those mechanics to be used for later in this video. Alright, now, oh! Like I said before, with Steve, it's going to be pretty easy to self-destruct to balance out the worst type of no cooldown attacks ever. Since it'll be like Minecraft, and he represents the older Minecraft. And this, I want to use it somehow, is a freaking up tilt. Because why not? And of course it'll be the same story. Each charging does something different, but since you're up tilting, you're not allowed to jump out of the way with the hoe. But with the diamond hoe instead, since you're not going to lose this thing for anything, like, even if I chuck it down here, you feel something. Alright, let's put this back in. And I'll be right back. And something about this. This may be based on a little bit of other people's ideas, but let's make it Minecraft as possible. Like sneak would actually serve a different purpose, since you can't really... But just before we get into that, this is a little bit on what I want the materials to be for. Since for the pickaxe, right here... Oh! But if you mine enough, like let's say in your inventory you get 3 stone, then that would be enough to down taunt, which would be a crafting table, which means you'll be able to craft, of course, but you don't have the actual craft menu. It's just if you know you have enough inside your hotbar, inside your damage percent, somewhere around there, you would be able to create all your special attacks. And the better material you have, the downcraft, which means you'll be able to get higher materials of these stuff for balancing, and let's stay close to the source material as possible and make it play like Steve, not any generic character. But for like the down special, you'll create blocks, and if you down special but still somehow manage to move around a little bit while ducking, you'll be able to place blocks behind you. But ducking while jumping, 1 tap would equal a wooden block. And for the wooden blocks, how about for balancing's sake, you'll be able to put down 3 and then 6. And then if you tap the down, again, you'd summon fire. Only to these blocks though. Which would burn up pretty fast, do some damage, and then disappear as fast as you set it on fire. Then it'll do some flame damage, and that'll be it. But, just to balance things out, if you wanted to put these here, enemies that would not be allowed to the ledge guard, but instead, as the only method of saving yourself if you get launched backwards, because I want Steve's recovery to completely suck, but since he's Steve, he has some way to deal with it. It's still terrible though. At least have Steve overpowered with a huge weakness. Alright. But I keep talking about self-destructing. How is Steve gonna save himself? Easy. Ender pearls. So you're able to push up special, which is how to activate the pearls, of course. And up, if you hold on to it, you'll be able to shoot sideways. Which will also be able to self-destruct yourself. Oh. Because, well, unless if Sakurai wants to add it, then you'll be able to teleport off stage. Or if it falls too far, then it wouldn't count. But you're able to hold up and then use this to teleport. Or you can throw it up, get in some melee attacks, and then teleport. But in case you were wondering, yes, down special would ultimately be your savior too on the edges, since if you're falling like in Minecraft, you'll be able to place blocks to save yourself like a net. But you're able to place down 5 cobblestone out of, I want to say a stack or a quarter of a stack of items for balancing sake. And of course you're not able to use this stuff to keep people like ledge guarding. But in fact, if you do that, they would be able to hop here and use it to save themselves. Which would mean Steve would be pretty helpful for keeping new players in as his own personal taunt. Since Steve's taunting should work differently to represent his game, of course. Since I mean in Minecraft you don't have like any fancy dancing and all that. So why add it in Smash? Why not be devilish about his taunts, saying that you're terrible? By literally helping you by placing blocks as a safety net. And then using the Ender Pearl to get yourself out of there. Oh crap. Get yourself out of there. Yeah, the Ender Pearls are going to be a pain to work with, but they'll be fun. And for a side, of course, he would have a bow, but let's separate him from Link, shall we? By making this bow feel different. With an, of course, side, you can move around, and it'll be in one direction. Once you double tap, then I'll flip him. And even then, side, push up, that would mean you shoot up. And side down would mean you would be able to shoot downwards. And Steve would have an automatic, but to balance this out, you only have a stack of arrows, and then once you're out, the only way to get them back is to kill yourself. And then you have your arrows back. Alright, a side special that you'll hold from side down, and then side forward. And then whatever side forward you have, it will summon a tree. And then with that tree, if you do the side tilt instead of getting your bow, or your side smash instead of getting your bow, you would grow this up. Which, if any players fly into it, or not fly into it, because if they flew into it, it would just go right through them. But they'll be able to use it to get higher ground. But not that. If they're unfortunate enough to fly into the tree top zone, they get launched from the tree. And they'll be like simultaneously grow a tree. And maybe like about 5 minutes it'll start disappearing rapidly. Which giving it enough time to grow out the tree and then side tilt it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All the wood gone in 6 chops. Which would all the wood be disappeared at once. I'm sorry. All the wood would disappear like if it was a mod. Just to rush things for Steve. And then down taunt would equal crafting, so that's how you get your wood back. Because if we're gonna have Steve in Smash, he's gonna be full-blown Steve, not some reskin of other characters, because we had Brawl for that. We still